always kind of like sat on it and just buried it. Mostly I feel like now I'm looking back on it, it was a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And abandonment.
Because you felt like you spoke up, he was going to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't want him to leave me. Like, you know, so I have to just.
This hurts my soul to listen to from Danae Jaxn. What's going on, YouTube world? This is your guy, as always, Sealz the Man. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for watching my videos, and thank you for checking out my channel, as it's all about understanding the mind of good men, decent men, stellar men, all the above. And I thank you, and I'm grateful for y'all coming back. Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about something really interesting. It caught my attention. It held my attention the whole episode. It's a podcast created by a brother I just found out about on social media. I literally found out about today. He has a podcast called Dear Future Wifey. Dope content. I think y'all should all check it out. I highly suggest it. We kind of talk about similar things, so I feel I'm on a lot of his content so far. So definitely check out his podcast. Once again, it's called Dear Future Wifey, and I'm gonna do some side-by-side commentary on this particular episode that he has with someone very interesting who's been through some crazy stuff that y'all all heard about, and that is Danae Jaxn, who is somebody you may have heard of, Derrick Jaxn's ex-wife. I believe they are divorced. Man, she has a story. She talks about it in here in this episode of trauma, childhood trauma, unhealed damage, sexual abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, lack of self-respect, lack of self-worth, narcissism, all of that encompassed in a little more than an hour of this brother's podcast. So I'm gonna talk about 3 main points that I took away from this video that spoke to me, that I felt, and that is aligned with what I already talk about on my channel. I'm gonna give y'all the 3 things right now. The first thing I'm gonna talk about that I picked up from this episode, just listening to her story and her speak about it, is the lack of a father and the lack of a father figure, and how it affects your future relationships. The second thing I'm gonna talk about is the fear of communication and how that branches from the fear of rejection. The third thing I'm gonna talk about that I picked up from this episode are the glaring red flags of a rotten apple, bad news, an enemy in disguise, all those things. And how we tend to ignore those things when we are in love, right? Love is blind, all that crap. All right, so let's get to it. Oh, sorry, I'm talking about 4 things that I got from this episode. The 4th thing, I'm sorry, I'm in my notes right now. The 4th thing was a lack of self-respect, self-worth, and place. She talked about all these things, man. Her story is just riveting. So let's get started on the first thing, right? The lack of a father figure and how it affects your future relationships.
Just the relationship that I had with my father growing up. I felt like he just wasn't as present as he could be, or he would always not come through or follow through on his promises when he said he would do something. And so that all affected me. And then boom, he died when I was 12. And so then, you know, I'm just left to try to figure out this thing on my own. And so there's abandonment, there's rejection there. And as I was younger, I used to be like a tomboy per se, right? And and that was because I wanted the affection of my father. I had 2 brothers at the time, and so they were playing football. He was their football coach. He was involved in all their activities, and I'm over here, you know, just this little chubby girl over here.
You're chubby.
I was fat. And so I would try to, you know, win his affection and his love by trying to be like a tomboy, like my brothers, like play football. I wanted to be on a football team, but all of that stemmed from my childhood, and then that transformed as I grew older, and then transformed into the relationship that everybody is interested in. So,
So
boom. I talk about this frequently. I talk about this a lot. Lacking a father can have such a great effect on your future relationships and your current relationships, and not just romantic relationships, period. You're now watching a man who grew up without his father. And I know I had to learn things on my own on how to deal with relationships and all those things. In her situation, she literally had to learn about men through her trials and errors. That is a nightmare, because it is always harder to learn through your pain than it is to be taught by a qualified person. And in this situation, a man who was supposed to be her father. She felt rejected from her father. Her father was there, in quotes, according to her, but it seemed like he paid more attention to the sons more than her. And what she tried to do was she tried to be more like the sons. So she became a tomboy. She wanted to be like them. She did things to get his affection and attention from someone she should already be getting those things from. How many of y'all have gone through those things? I know I have. Shoot, I remember in school, I didn't have a lot of money, growing up. And I used to go to Payless and buy these little Payless boots. And I would draw the Timberland sign on the corner because, Payless boots are not Timberland boots. Just because I knew all the other kids, all the cool kids, all the kids who had money had Timbs. And I would do those same things just to attract girls or just to attract other cool friends. The things you do to find love and to get love from someone else. Crazy when you think about it, looking back on it. And that's what she's doing right now. So now I want to ask you, are you doing things in your relationship right now? Are you doing things in your life right now for someone else who is not giving you that same energy? Who is not deserving of the effort that you're putting into increasing your attraction to this person? Are you? But going back to what I'm talking about, the role of a father is so important in everyone's lives, daughters and sons. That goes to a deeper topic in today's society, especially among us with single parenthoods, but that's a whole nother video. So let's talk about the next topic, which is the fear of communication and how it stems to the fear of rejection.
There and watched, literally looked through his phone and watched him have sex with other girls.
On the phone.
On the phone. Like, I literally watched it. And so that was soul crushing. At that time, this is well before we're married, but I've seen it multiple times, multiple girls, several. This is just in college. We're not talking even about marriage.
After that. Yeah, we're going to get there in a little bit. We're going to talk about straight college. How did we get here?
So there was a lot of anger and bitterness, and I never once really confronted him about it. I always kind of sat on it and just buried it. Mostly I feel like now I'm looking back on it, it was a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And abandonment.
Because you felt like you spoke up, he gonna leave.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't want him to leave me. So I have to just.
This hurts my soul to listen to from Danae Jaxn. This really hurts. And I know it hurts some of y'all because I can speak from personal experience. When you really like someone, you never want them to leave. So what people tend to do is they tend to sell themselves. They tend to sell their morals. They tend to sell their souls to retain this thing that they think is worthy. And most times that thing does not think you are worthy. There's been situations where I thought I wanted something so bad that I needed this thing forever, and I knew it was hurting me. This thing was killing me, yo. But it didn't matter because I wanted it. But not just because I wanted her. It was because I didn't want to be alone. The power of the fear of being alone can overtake one's whole life and everything that they drive to do in their life and their relationships. It literally directs all their actions. They will do whatever it takes to keep you. And that includes selling their own morals, yo. She knew what he was doing was wrong. But the reason why this is related to the fear of communication leads to the fear of rejection is because she was afraid to talk about the things she witnessed on his phones, how she was being disrespected, the actions he was doing. She feared bringing that up and feared communicating it because she feared losing him. Because people like him, once you bring something like that to them, they run away. They never want to talk about the truth. They never want to confront their truths. When narcissist truths come to them, they never want to deal with it. When manipulators' truths get confronted to them, They never want to deal with it. In fact, they will turn the tables on you just to get away from their own truths, just to get away from talking about their own truths. That is how they work. But the fact that she literally sold herself, and she didn't even notice what she was doing. She sold herself and everything she believed in to keep this guy, even though he was doing her dirty. How many of y'all been through that? I know I have. How many of y'all? Right? Crazy. Let's go to the next thing, man.
I went back to the gym and started working out, and then I had a male trainer. And so then at the time that we're going through premarital counseling, then it's like, oh, you're talking to your male trainer, you know, and you're having a relationship with him. You're trying to hide it from me. And I'm like, you know, I'm all these things. And so I'm like, I'm not trying to hide this from you. Like you see him, we go to the same gym. You can have a conversation with him. His wife is a trainer at the gym too. Maybe I should have asked for his wife to, like, I didn't even choose the trainer, you know, but basically it became an issue. So then that became the focus as opposed to like me.
I had to cut that off, yo. There were some things in this video that it just made the reaction that you just saw me do. I was doing it throughout the whole video. I did not know this dude was doing her like this. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing at myself because of my reaction and just. But anyway, the fact that he was mad that she had a male trainer, right? Not only that, the male trainer's wife worked with him at the gym, high visibility. Not only that, if he was a man enough, he would just communicate, right, with her, how he felt, which he did in a weird way, in an immature way, but he will also communicate with the trainer, another man. That is another red flag, and that's a very narcissistic red flag. I mean, it literally just spells out narcissistic and jealous and just all the red flags, bro. Because one, if someone is not giving you a reason of doubt, then you should not put doubt on them. It is never fair to put doubt on someone who does not deserve your doubt. How many of y'all been through that? You see, once again, when you are in love with someone and you want them so bad, you ignore red flags. You ignore all the things that goes against your rules that you set for yourself to keep yourself happy, to keep peace within yourself. Once they realize you will let all their red flags fly, all their violations, all their faults go, just because you want to be with them, once they realize that, now they have a sense of control over you. I'm telling you, I don't speak on things I've never been through. Never ignore the signs, because usually those signs are straight from God. Usually those signs are straight from that little angel on your shoulder. That alarm going off in your head is a method of self-preservation. Do not ignore yourself when you are trying to save yourself. All right?
It's a trip. You're getting pregnant in trauma. It's like the first time you got pregnant, you're passing women down the stairwell or passing them as you leave. Y'all making y'all D appointments.
Yeah,
and
right.
so then you end up getting pregnant. You said 8 o'clock, that's your standing appointment, 8 o'clock. And what day was it?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You know, listen, before that her song came out about, you know, only on the weekend, listen, there was already that was already going on.
That was already going on in your life.
I had to renounce that, by the way. That is not okay behavior. I do not endorse that behavior. I'm just testifying.
You're testifying right now. And so you have.
So first of all, I want to say that brother just set a bar. Being pregnant in trauma, that is a real thing. Because being pregnant in trauma can totally 100% send that same negative energy to the baby. Unknowingly. A lot of babies are being born in trauma. It's sad, yo. I saw the whole video, and basically what she was doing was they had an off moment where they were like not in a relationship, but they were still dealing with each other sexually. And what she would do is she would go to his place, you know, chill with him for a certain amount of time, you know, have sex with him and all that stuff or whatever. And as she's leaving, there's other women passing her each time they hang out, going, as you expect, going to see him. So just imagine you're leaving this dude that you're involved with his room, and as you're coming out, there's a woman passing you going towards his room. And what she said was that this happened like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Like Derrick had a schedule for her and all his other women. But the thing about it was she allowed it. She just wanted to be with him. She just wanted to be in his presence. She just wanted to be in an unofficial relationship with him. She was not realizing her self-worth, yo. And the sad thing is that she knew it. And I mean, she can look back on it now and laugh about it and stuff, but during that time, it had to be a tragic moment. The thing with trauma is that it gets rid of your self-dignity. You lose yourself in trauma. The weight to bear can be super heavy, especially if you don't have faith. So she was going through all these things, man. Seeing him use her and actually seeing and witnessing the women that he's dealing with before and after she hangs out with him. And there's a lot of people, a lot of women going through that right now. Not realizing their self-worth, not realizing their place in their man's life, not realizing their place in their life, not realizing their place in their career, their jobs, their friendships. A lot of us out there are wandering without a compass. And I've been there. You know, there's a reason why this podcast by Dear Future Wifey resonated with me, because as I said, I talk about understanding the mind of men, and I created this channel to put my two younger nieces on game to understand us better, so they don't have to go through the things we went through. They don't have to go through the things she went through, that they could look to their uncle for this type of advice or just suggestions and just a path to clear themselves from these type of dudes. This is a strong testament given by Miss Jaxn, and I hope we all learn something from this, man, without judgment, because a lot of our closets are full of skeletons too. But if there's one thing I want y'all to have before this video ends, is to always stay true to yourself. Always remember who you are and how much and how bountiless, how unlimited you are. You are never defined by a person. You are never defined by a man. You are never defined by your job. You are never defined by how much money you have. You are never defined by your woman. You have all the power in defining your definition. So thank y'all for watching this video. Make sure y'all go over to my brother Dear Future Wifey's podcast on YouTube. I think he has podcast or audios too. Check him out. I really like his content. Highly suggested from your guy Sealz the Man. Thank y'all for checking me out, and I will see y'all on my next video. Peace and blessings. Good night.